Hello everyone, and welcome back to the video by me, the Witcher George. So, I don't want to say dreading making this video, but it's a video that I have not really wanted to make because I know this is an incredibly divisive subject, especially among Witcher fans, and I know that people that watch this channel come from all different walks of life and have different opinions on The Witcher 4 and, well, where the direction the game's going in, but I really felt like I should make this video because I got a comment recently, and it really made me think about the sort of videos I make and the sort of... I don't really have a lot of influence in the Witcher community, I think, but I certainly am able to make videos that people can see, right? And somebody said to me that they liked that I was talking about a particular issue to do with The Witcher because who knows the sort of butterfly effect that could have, or it could reach the right devs' ears and it could affect the development of the game, possibly in a very minor way. So I thought for today's video, look, I'm going to ask Witcher fans what their biggest concerns are about The Witcher 4. I'm going to make a video explaining what these concerns are and why in a very nuanced way and a careful way so people understand where some of these issues are coming from, because I see very divisive comments about how if someone believes a certain thing they must be this kind of person or this kind of person or this kind of person. I think that it's on every side of the spectrum of this, and I think from myself, from reading the comments, as someone that's a little bit in the middle of a lot of these issues, I'd rather just explain them carefully so people understand the concerns and that some people feel heard, you know. So in today's video I'm going to essentially be making an open letter to CD Projekt Red talking about some of the biggest Witcher 4 fan concerns that people have, and I hope they'll listen to it and really consider some of this feedback. And I just want to quickly clarify for a lot of people, I am excited for The Witcher 4. I really want to play the game. I think the tech demo, which of course is not actual gameplay yet, from what they've shown looks really good and I'm excited to play it, but we don't know enough about the game yet to make a full assessment of what it's going to be, so this is just going to be the biggest concerns that a lot of fans have, and we'll see what happens. They might even never see this video, but let's just get this information out there, and you never know, as some of these issues could seriously make or break the game for many die-hard Witcher fans. So I've broken this video down into 5 areas that I can see generally from the comments. Some areas are going to be way longer than others, but we'll just get straight into it and then you guys can share your opinions in the comments below. Also subscribe for more videos, there'll be more Witcher videos coming out soon, so thank you again guys, let's get into it. Lore issues. So I've talked about this extensively during my normal videos on The Witcher 4 and some other videos I've made, and they're concerns that I really share as well. And just getting straight into it, the first question many fans have that needs to be answered in a satisfying way, or this could seriously ruin the game for people, is how did Ciri become a Witcher? For many of us fans, you look at Ciri and you think she's a good character, she's got the Elder Blood, it's quite powerful, she's very central to the story of all the Witcher games essentially, and the books of course, but that is a lot to do with the fact she has the Elder Blood. It's also to do with how she is, and then the fact, at least it used to be, that she didn't need to be a Witcher to prove that she's a Witcher in spirit, right? She's Geralt's, essentially his daughter, she's got the Elder Blood, she's a source, she's very powerful, she's far more powerful than Geralt, at least by the end of The Witcher 3. Possibly the most powerful being in existence. I mean, you could say the Unseen Elder, but even he can't travel between worlds at will. So the argument a lot of people have is, why downgrade her so much to just becoming a normal Witcher? There needs to be a good explanation for it. I've got a few theories of my own that I've shared before that could be satisfying, and there's some other theories I've been thinking about and things I've been hearing from other people on X or formerly Twitter and YouTube as well. So one explanation that I've been thinking about a lot recently is the fact that she might be trying to avoid her destiny, right? The reason I didn't really consider this before is I kind of considered her destiny complete at the end of The Witcher 3, because she supposedly stops the White Frost, the world is saved, Aethelyn's prophecy is fulfilled, she didn't destroy the world, she saved it. Cool, but the more I think about it, the more I realize that part of that prophecy is that she could also destroy the world. And in the books, of course, you're not supposed to just physically stop the White Frost in that kind of way, but, you know, it might be the fact that she realizes that her destiny is going to be destroying the world, and she thinks the only way to stop this Elder Blood from passing on is to make myself sterile, become a Witcher, alter my genetics fundamentally so I don't even have the power anymore, and then there's no more risk of the world being destroyed, right? Maybe she stopped the White Frost and that was the second part of her destiny or something like that, and she just wants to avoid it. And then there's some comments about how in the Witcher trilogy, the monster, which I believe is a Bauk, if I'm saying it correctly, or Baku or something. If you listen to what that monster says, it's like you can't avoid your destiny. So it seems like this could be the way they're going with it.
Fate cannot be changed.
So this could be a satisfying explanation. It continues with the themes of the other games. It doesn't invalidate The Witcher 3's ending because she fulfilled that part of the prophecy, right? And it makes sense. This could be a good explanation if it's handled very carefully. I suppose a lot of people would ask, why does that mean you have to become a Witcher? And I would say it probably is one of the best methods in order to actually achieve sterilization and altering genetics, right? It makes sense for her to do that. But another concern I've seen is just in regard to how this could make the whole Witcher profession seem a little bit, well, not quite as special as we once thought, because originally it's thought that it's very, very select children that have to be trained from a certain age, brought up. A lot of them don't even survive the trial of the grasses. They typically have to be boys to do with how the mutations work, and that was essentially what we considered with the Witcher's lore, right? You got to get boys, they've got to be chosen through destiny, many of them don't even survive, they become Witchers, that's how it works. There's been some recent news about how the author of the Witcher books, Andrzej Sapkowski, has said that he never said adult females couldn't survive the trials, which of course he's the author and he can decide what he wants with his story. I think just for a lot of us fans it makes us feel like, well, you didn't say a lot of things. You didn't say that sirens couldn't become witches. You didn't say that werewolves couldn't become witches, but we just assumed it didn't really happen. So it feels a little bit like a cop-out to the actual lore surrounding it, but I'm not sure if he withdrew that statement because the statement I saw surrounding it, whoever made that, seems to have withdrawn their post as well when I was looking for it on my quoted tweets. In my opinion, I think as they've made Ciri a Witcher, you can see her eyes, which are green by the way, although honestly, they look grey or blue in some shots. I know they're green in the books, of course, but I assumed with her Witcher mutations they've changed, and they have to a degree. But anyway, if you look at Ciri, you can see that her Witcher is obviously, her type of Witcher or Witcheress is distinct from the male Witchers, from Geralt, from Vesemir, from Lambert, Eskel, Letho. They have yellow eyes. She does not have yellow eyes. My interpretation was that female Witchers are not actually witches, they're Witcheresses, right? They're a distinct thing that's been developed to save her from her destiny. It's not a Witcher. It's not the same as a Witcher, it's a different thing. And for me, that is quite satisfying. It's like, okay, you can have your Witcher Ciri, but it doesn't affect the existing lore. If it just becomes adult females could always have become witches, or females could always have become witches, it just wasn't written down and we never tried it, it just feels like a cop-out and it feels like you're trying to change the story to fit this kind of contrived idea you have, right? So you can still have female witches, it just, as we say, it depends how you handle it in the lore. And yes, they've changed things in the lore in the past, they added the Witcher schools, etc., but it's when something feels like a natural extension of the lore and when something feels contrived. Right? This is a very fine line, and for some fans the bar will be different. What I'm saying is the explanation of just they had to develop new mutations and it's a different thing, I think is quite satisfying for a lot of fans. And some fans have also been a little bit concerned that monsters are dying out, there's no need for new witches, why would you even make a new Witcher school, why is Ciri not just going to be part of the School of the Wolf? Yet again, it feels like a new way to make this new identity thing that we don't really need for Ciri. She's already a Wolf School Witcher, right? Why do we need another school? Did a second conjunction happen? Did the Unseen Elder manage to get the vampires to come through? Did it happen at the end of The Witcher 3 with the White Frost? It's still all up in the air. Let's see what explanation there is for that. And also just if anyone can become a Witcher at any point, for example adult males and adult females, this goes for males and females, it kind of just waters down the whole thing, right? And that's a concern a lot of people have. It's a little bit like Spartan 4s in Halo. You kind of look at Spartan 4s in Halo 4 and a lot of us fans at the time were like, oh, that kind of ruins what a Spartan is. But the cool thing is obviously they're tiny, and when you see Master Chief walk past Palmer, you're sort of like, okay, they're not on anywhere near the level of Spartan 2 is. Or 3. And also, Lanexter. I've seen concerns about Lanexter. I think it looks pretty interesting, but a lot of fans, of course, were expecting it to look a little bit like a northern Venice. I think it still could. I think we haven't seen deep into the city yet. It could just be the sprawling outskirts we kind of see, right? Then as you get more into the city, there are these canals and that sort of thing. Let's see how they manage that. But I also, of course, hope it looks a little bit more like Venice, but let's see how it goes. And then we also have the Witcher 3 endings. How are they going to be managed? Yet again, I've seen a lot of fans who basically don't care. They just want certain endings to be canonized, then you forget about other endings. I would say that I love how they handled it in The Witcher 1 and 2 because they just kind of, I wouldn't say they ignored those aspects, but they just didn't discuss them fully or they changed it a little bit. Of course, it can make your decisions feel a little bit pointless, but to me it never did because you never expect them to just completely change the entire game based on what your decisions were. It's just as long as it's not, oh, that just didn't happen. They always said it happened, but then this happened and it changed. And I think that's what a lot of people want for The Witcher 3. So For example, I've seen people wondering who's going to rule Skellige. We don't know if it's Ceres or Hjalmar, but what I would say is probably going to happen is, let's say you got Hjalmar, maybe something happened and Ceres had to take over. Or let's say you got Ceres or whatever and then something happened and Hjalmar had to take over. Whatever ending they decide. The same with Ciri becoming Emperor, she had to leave for whatever reason. Same with Dijkstra and Roach. Maybe they just say that, well, yes, because there's an option where either Roach dies or Dijkstra dies, maybe you just don't discuss that. Or maybe they both die. Maybe Dijkstra then became king, or ruler of the north, and then he was killed as well, or Nilfgaard just invaded anyway. I know it seems like it's making our decisions invalid, but it's the only way to do it. Other than just saying, oh, yeah, Roach survived, and Dijkstra died, and that's the ending. I think that that's a bit like, oh, so it literally doesn't matter. You're not even pretending. I would prefer they pick a sort of ending, but they still respect the previous endings. Yes, the game doesn't all go in the same direction at the beginning, or there's multiple paths, who knows? Maybe they could actually implement it like that, but I would rather just, yes, the world is like this, basically this is just the way it gets to, but your decisions did have some small impact and maybe there'll be some dialogue options, stuff like that. I'm fine with that. Also, a debate I got into over on Twitter or X was about Kelpie, because I think my wording was a little bit weird. I was confused because I was under the impression that this Kelpie is not the same Kelpie from the books, because of course we did not see Kelpie in The Witcher 3. There is only a single mention of her, I believe, by Geralt when he's with Ciri, and it's just kind of odd that, I mean, how old would Kelpie be at this point? I don't know how long horses live or how long they're able to perform at that kind of, the sort of speed you need to run the way she's running in the trailer, but my impression was that Ciri had gone the Geralt route and was clearly just naming her new horses after her favorite horse, which was Kelpie. It could be literally the same Kelpie, but then I've seen some fans say, well, maybe she just stowed Kelpie away somewhere during the events of The Witcher 3, or maybe she brought Kelpie to a different world. My question is, how does she then get Kelpie if she's clearly lost the Elder Blood? And, well, just what's going on with that? That's a whole thing that I don't know if that is actually Kelpie from the books. I wondered if it was the horse she got from the Baron, because it's a black mare. Of course, Kelpie was also a black mare, so it's a little bit confusing. Not entirely sure what's going on with Kelpie. Maybe they'll explain later on. Transparency. So next we have transparency, and this is something that I think a lot of fans, it leads into some of the other points I'm going to make, but it's really, really important. So CD Projekt Red have lost a lot of trust with fans with what happened with Cyberpunk. Of course, Cyberpunk is now a good game, but having a game released in the state it did on PC and then fixing it a year later, still, although yes, of course people are happy it's fixed, it can leave a bit of a sour taste in people's mouths, especially when they're considering the launch of games. So when you look at The Witcher 4, you have this tech demo that comes out, it's showing off all this new technology. I think that, in my opinion, they should have been far more clear saying, everyone, here is the tech demo. It is not gameplay. We are showing the technology with the direction we'd like to take the game into. Yes, they did say this, but to me, there should have been a massive disclaimer right at the beginning of all of it. They should have been very transparent. This is not The Witcher 4. I feel like there is this element of sort of living off the goodwill of people that probably just see it and think, oh, that's The Witcher 4. It's cool. This is what the game's going to be like. It's not going to be like that for all we know so far. Yes, of course, they'll be reusing some of these assets. They'll probably be downgrading some stuff. Maybe they'll maintain a lot more than we think, but I think that should be really, really transparent to people. Yes, this is The Witcher 4, but we're being honest with you guys. We don't know if it's going to look like this, and it's not just some tweet about it. It's in the main live stream of the video. It's saying, yes, there is that disclaimer, this is not actual gameplay, etc., but it needs to be, like, spoken. They need to draw attention to it. It needs to be very, very clear to fans. This is a tech demo. They need to say it. Yes, you can put it in the title, you can put it on the screen a little bit at the bottom, sort of in small white text, but you have to be very clear with people. It looks like gameplay. It's not gameplay yet. We'll see if we can get it to this point. Yes, they did tell us, but I think it should be far more clear right at the beginning of the video. This is a small issue, but I'm just saying it because I've seen so many fans confused about the fact, is this a tech demo? How much of this is going to be in the game? We're really not sure. I'm sure they're not sure either, but if they're not, they should be very clear about it, I think. I mean, I look at something like The Blood of Dawnwalker, right? And they're very clear, this is gameplay, this is what the game's going to be like. There you go. And I think that that's clear for fans. And it's even with like other little things, and this leads into the next point, so I'll just get into that first. So next up we have performance. So will the game actually perform like the tech demo as I discussed? And the reason I'm talking about this is because the game is running at 60 FPS. And I shouldn't say the game, I should say the tech demo is running at 60 FPS. And something that I had questions about because it wasn't originally in 4K, then suddenly 4K footage started coming out, right? And I was asking people on Twitter or X, is this upscaled or is this running natively on a PS5 at 4K 60 FPS? Because if it is, that's incredible. And from what I understand, from what people have said, you can correct me in the comments, I'm still not completely sure, it's upscaled. This is not actually running at 4K 60 FPS. It's running at 60 FPS, maybe 1080p, something like that, but it's not 4K. So you've got to consider what this will actually look like when it's running at 4K 60 FPS on a PS5. It will most likely not look anywhere close to this. I'm still not sure if it's going to be 4K, because I can tell you from personal experience, I've had to buy a new graphics card recently because running a game at 1080p 60 FPS Ultra compared to 4K is completely different. The hardware you need is so much more advanced to get that kind of quality. So I think this should have been far more apparent as well. Here's the 4K footage, we've upscaled it. This is not actually running at this, but of course they can't say that because then it looks slightly bad, I think. And I think this is the problem a lot of people have. There needs to be this transparency. It needs to be, okay, this isn't upscaled, this is upscaled, something like that. We are trying to get it like this, we'll try our best, let's see how it goes. I think it really needs to be this kind of level of honesty with fans about, we're doing this is why, that sort of thing, right? I think that's what's going to get people on board with it. They don't want to have all this secrecy around things that don't need to be secret. Of course, keep the story secret. You don't need to tell us everything about the story before the game comes out. We'll find out when it comes out. But it's more to do with just like these kind of technical things that are really important for people to understand. You don't want to raise people's expectations to this unattainable goal. Then the game comes out and it doesn't look anything like what we've previously seen. Yes, it is a tech demo, but what we've seen, because it's just going to disappoint people. And you need to be careful with doing that sort of thing. And by the way, I'm sure they're aware of this. I just think that there must be this sort of fear around, we can't say this because then people are going to be like, oh, well, this isn't even the game. What do we do? What do we do? I just think, honestly, bite the bullet, be honest. People will respect you a lot more for doing that. Very small point now about gameplay. I've seen some people concerned about enemy variety and just generally dumbing down the mechanics because it could make it easier to play with the newer games. You can see that mechanics have got easier and easier within games as they've gone on. It'd be great to have actual difficulty in the game, like very difficult to fight certain enemies, maybe not quite Dark Souls level perhaps, but if you want, that'd be great to have that as an option. And just general enemy variety, you know, we want to maintain that variety that was in The Witcher 3 with the basilisks and the griffins and the drowners and the boss fights, that sort of thing. It'd be great to just have all these different monsters that you can fight and really feel like it's a different experience with each enemy. So that's something I've seen as well. And finally, tone. This is perhaps going to be the most controversial thing I've said on this channel. I'm going to try and be very careful with how I explain it because there's a lot of nuance to it. And I've been trying to work out how fans feel about this, why this is such a big concern, and I'm going to try and explain it in the most nuanced way I possibly can. And it's very difficult because these issues are very divisive, and I think as soon as you hear this complaint, there's a certain perspective you have on people that have it. And we have to be careful with this, and we have to actually listen to each other to make this the best game it can possibly be. So I'm going to get into that in a moment, but first, less controversial point. There's been some concerns that the game could become too realistic. It could look with this sort of hyper-realism we see with a lot of games, and you lose all that kind of stylistic integrity that games can have. So careful with it just being this ultra-realistic game. That's something people are concerned about. And here we come to it. I generally avoid replying to these comments because I think it's such a nuanced debate. I can't quite explain the concerns around it in a nuanced way in a YouTube comment, but we have the girl boss concerns. Now, if you're wondering what girl boss means, it's just this idea of having a character who is typically, of course, a female character who is perfect in every way. They defeat every character, they talk a lot about certain social issues, and that sort of thing. This is the concern around a girl boss. It's not like a well-written, rounded female character like, say, Yennefer, Triss, or Ciri in The Witcher 3. It's more like, I'm the best at everything, everyone else sucks, and you deal with it. That's something, you wouldn't even want that with a guy character, of course. It's just a character that you're not that interested in, right? In general. So this is a very, very nuanced debate, and I'm very concerned with either being labeled as what some people say, like an incel, or a traitor to the fandom if I'm not completely against the idea of Ciri or something like that. It's a very nuanced debate, and it's something I've really put a lot of time considering exactly how to discuss it, because for me, I'm happy to play as Ciri. Of course, she's the secondary protagonist in essentially all of the books and in The Witcher 3, right? She's a very important character. It does make sense sense that we would play as her at some point in a game. And as much as people might think, well, The Witcher is Geralt, and I've seen this concern quite a lot. The Witcher is Geralt, I don't want to play as anyone else. I think that Ciri, you can't debate the fact that she is an important character. Is she a protagonist you want to have an entire game about is a different debate, because just because a character is important doesn't mean that they need to have an entire game about them. Because her function in the books and the games is typically, yes, of course she's important, but she's so important. She's like an almost MacGuffin. She has the Elder Blood. She can transport between different planes of existence. Everything revolves around her. Everyone wants to get her. She's the key to a lot of these different story arcs throughout the games and the books. Well, all of the story arcs almost. So playing as her kind of, it makes it almost too important, right? In some regards for some people. But anyway, this is the point that I've seen a lot. Some people have said they just simply do not want to play as a girl. I, for one, don't mind playing as a girl. Of course, I don't really see an issue with it. I think that I can play as a boy or a girl, it's fine. It just depends on how well the character's written. But what I want to add to this sort of little aspect of what I'm saying is, as shocking as this might sound to people, I don't see a problem with not wanting to play as a girl or not wanting to play as a guy. I don't think it's a controversial thing to say, if you're a guy, you want to play as a guy. If you're a girl, you want to play as a girl, or, you know, if you're a guy, you want to play as a girl and a guy. If you're a girl, you want to play as a guy and a girl. I think people have preferences, and it's not a shameful thing to be like, I like playing as a guy in games because I'm a guy and I want to sort of feel like I'm in the game or something like that, or I relate more to guys. I think that's completely fine. And I think people that think, no, you have to like it, you have to want to do this, it's like, well, why? Why do you have to? You don't have to hate someone because they're a girl or something like that, but it doesn't mean you have to physically enjoy playing as something that you don't identify with, right? I don't see an issue with it. I think if you don't want to play as a girl, you don't have to want to play as a girl. And if you're a girl, you don't have to want to play as a guy. It's completely fine. It doesn't mean you should hate everyone that does, or you should hate the character with a passion. It just is your preference, right? It's like when you're creating a character in Skyrim. Personally, I always make a guy, you know, and it's just because I like playing as a guy. It's not because I hate girls or something. It's just because that's what I want to play as. Same for a lot of girls that play fantasy games. Maybe they don't want to play as a guy. They just want to make a girl character and play as a girl. I think that this is a completely, it's a weird argument to have. It's fine to have preferences. I don't see an issue with it. Like, for example, there's games like Tomb Raider, maybe Alien, I'm sure, Horizon Zero Dawn, where you can play as a girl. And a lot of people are happy to play as a girl in those games because they're the protagonist, that's what's been established for a very long time, and that's the audiences that they've cultivated. And they're happy to do it. A lot of people would be like, I don't want to play it because I don't want to play as a girl, I suppose. But I'm not, by the way, in this group. I'm fine playing as a guy or a girl. My preference would be to play as a guy, but it doesn't mean I'm against playing as a girl. But some people are, and I don't see an issue with it, as long as they're not actively hating people that do want to. You know, a lot of people would look at The Witcher and think, why are we playing as Ciri? I think it makes sense, you know, she's a very important character. It's not like they've just made up a new Witcher and she's a girl or whatever, and whatever it is, and they've changed all the lore and now girls can be witches and so on and so on. Ciri is a really important character in The Witcher, and it makes sense to a degree. It just depends, as we've said, how they explain the lore. Personally, and I've talked about this in previous videos, and I'm fine saying it, I would rather play as Eskel or Letho or Vesemir. I think it'd be great to have a Vesemir prequel game. I think it'd be really cool to explore his story. I think it can exist within the existing lore pretty comfortably. I think it'd be cool to see maybe witches in their heyday. You play as an original Witcher character, or Letho is just really cool. I love him, so it'd be cool to play as him as well. Ciri, yeah, as I said, I'm excited to play as Ciri. I want to explore Kovir. I'm happy we're getting anything new from The Witcher at all, but is she my preference as someone to play? No, of course not. I don't sit and think, oh, I just wish there was a game about Ciri. I'm happy we're getting the game, and I'm looking forward to playing the game, but it is not my preference by any means. And there are some people on the fence where it's not even about playing as a girl, playing as a guy, playing as anything like that. It's just about the fact that they just want to play as Geralt. And I think that's fine as well. If for you The Witcher is Geralt, that makes sense. A lot of people have the same with Halo. For them, Master Chief is Halo. They just want to play as Master Chief. It's the same with many games. You just want to play as the character you like. You fall in love with that character. You want to play as that character. It's not about this character or this character or this character or this gender or whatever other issues come about with it. It's just about the fact they like a certain character. It's fine to not like Ciri as a character. There are parts about her character that I'm sure people don't like, in the same way people might not like Geralt because maybe they could say he's not emotional enough or something like that. I don't know. There are concerns around all these things, and I think the problem we have at the moment is people say something and it's a YouTube comment, so you can't get any nuance. I'm able to speak, I'm talking, I'm explaining these things carefully. It's very hard to do that in a YouTube comment. You can't even get tone of voice on it. It just becomes this thing where people are like, you believe this, therefore you're in this camp. you believe this, therefore you're in this camp. And this is something that I feel like I really want to explain to the developers, because I hope they understand that some people that don't want to play as Ciri or don't want to play as a girl, it's not anything about disliking a certain gender or disliking a character so much. Sometimes it's just a personal preference, and there's nothing wrong with that. In the same way they have a preference to make Ciri the main character, other people have a preference that they don't want that. And then for those people, of course, you don't have to play the game. We have 3 great games with Geralt, we have books with Geralt as well, and Ciri to an extent, of course, and you can just play those games. I'm happy we're getting anything at all, because you're not really entitled to have these new games made at all, right? So as long as the older games exist in their original form, you can enjoy it as Geralt, and then if you want to try out The Witcher 4 and see what it's like as Ciri, you can play that too. That's the direction they've gone with, that's the direction they've decided as the game studio, and we'll have to see what they do. If they actively try and mess up the existing lore or put a bunch of things in that you're not interested in, all you have to do is just not play it. It's very simple. There's plenty of series that I love that new writers have come on and basically destroyed, and I just don't watch it. I just watch the old series and then I imagine that it ended at a certain point and it's fine. Yeah, you can say, well, no, but they can change the canon, they can decide that. It's like, you just have your own headcanon. You have your own headcanon, you don't need to have other people dictate what you believe about something you enjoy. They have made a series in a certain way that you like, you can stop caring about it past that point, just enjoy what's made up until that point. Even if things are retroactively changed in future games or something like that, you just enjoy it for what it is. So I would say, if you want to just see Rivia, enjoy the new Witcher game, if you're interested in Ciri as a character, even if you're not as passionate about it as playing as a guy or playing as Geralt or having a game about Letha or Eskel or an original Witcher character, something like that, you can just enjoy it for what it is. And that's what I'm going to do. I like Ciri as a character, looking forward to it. I know a lot of people are also concerned about the sort of politics in the game, and all I'd say to CD Projekt Red is this: you are guaranteed an incredibly successful game if you just make something that does not actively target any group whatsoever in a particular overt way. You can have politics in games, you can have messaging in games, you just have to make it nuanced and make sense to the story. And I think that's all I need to say about it. I'm not targeting a certain group, targeting anything, I'm just saying that is how you handle politics in any media. Media always touches on politics, it's incredibly important to have a level of kind of political insight into it. The Witcher is incredibly political, it's just what kind of politics are you going to put in it? Are you going to actively target certain groups because it serves a certain agenda or something like that? As long as you don't do that, fine. No one cares. No one cares. The Witcher 3 has a lot of politics in it. Obviously you have very strong female characters in it. No one cares because the story is written well and it's a good game. I think this is a completely reasonable perspective to have, and as I've said, I'm happy to play as Ciri and I'm looking forward to it. These issues are very controversial, so I'm very careful when I talk about it, and it has to be very nuanced, and I hope people understand that most of us are just excited to play a new Witcher game. They don't care about any of these issues and they just want to see what the game is like and enjoy it. Don't go looking for things that aren't there, I'd say, and also just enjoy what is being made. So anyway, that is my video on The Witcher 4 and the biggest concerns a lot of fans seem to have about it. As I've said, my views on this are a little bit all over the place. I'm finding it very difficult. My kind of perspective at the moment is wait till the game comes out, wait till I see what happens in the game, and then let's see. As long as it's better than whatever the Netflix show was, I'm happy with it, guys. I'll take what I could get at this point. And just a final point for many fans that are concerned, I think you would be quite shocked about the sort of writers that are on The Witcher 3 that might have very different political views to you. It doesn't mean all this stuff can seep into a game or can just completely dominate it. Just because someone has a different opinion, we should be really discussing things with people of a variety of opinions and getting all these perspectives into these games. I think it's great to have. It just needs to be done in a nuanced way and an enjoyable way, and then you don't feel so attacked or targeted of whatever you feel when you have these issues that come up. I think we just have to enjoy the game for what it is, see how it goes, and there you go. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please subscribe for more. I really do appreciate anyone that does that. Like the video to support it. Comment down below your thoughts. Been a bit of a controversial one. I think next time I'll just get back to some lore or something like that. And yeah, thank you of course as well to the members. You guys are amazing. Thank you for supporting directly. I've decided to add a new tier to the memberships recently because a few people have asked if they could contribute more, and I thought, look, if people want to help make these videos, that's really kind of them, and the more members I have and the more support, I'm sure the more videos I can make. So thank you guys. So thank you guys for watching today's video. There'll be more Witcher videos soon. I'll see you guys in the next one. Good luck on your adventures, everyone, and have an awesome rest of the week.